What if you could build a 7-figure law firm, but without the $1 million ad spend? Today's guest did it in just 2 years. Welcome to Personal Injury Mastermind. I'm Chris Dreyer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io. Each week, we dive into the strategies behind the most successful personal injury law firms in the nation. When Travis Meltzer left insurance defense work to launch Valley Injury Law, he had 0 clients, 0 funding, and nothing but a laptop. By month 6, he had 200 cases signed up. If you're tired of hearing that massive ad spend is the only path to success, you need to hear this episode. Let's go. So, what sparked that decision to leave the defense work behind and launch your own plaintiff's firm?
Yeah, it was more for me not feeling great about what I did. I enjoyed the legal side of it. I enjoyed litigation. I enjoyed going to court. I enjoyed depositions, but I hated what I was doing. So I felt that plaintiff's work was the best way for me to just help people and really just feel good about what I did day to day.
You started in September 2022, and within 6 months, you had nearly 200 cases. So we got to talk about that. Everybody wants to know how you got the 200 cases. What was the tipping point for the fire hydrant cases to start coming in?
Yeah, so for me, it was really the local partnerships with larger firms and then also partnerships regionally. I've really focused on creating what I call a regional referral network for our firm. I started cold calling, cold emailing, cold Facebooking, cold LinkedIning, whatever you want to say, saying, hey, we have a firm out here in Arizona. I don't have a referral partner in Colorado or California. Would you like to be that partner or at least add us to your list? I just asked. And it's one of those things that I've really tried to push others and friends and people that you've even had on the podcast before is just ask. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So did you look up on shows like mine and others that, other PI shows, and you're like, hey, that guy runs a pretty good practice, probably has some volume.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, people like you pointed me in the right direction to really just see who I could reach out to. And then obviously from that point, you create these relationships with people that have been in the business and been in the market forever. So if you ever have issues or questions, it also just kind of creates a nice info bank for you.
How did you think about, your model, or if you're take cases, refer cases, try cases, just tell me about that, like the planning period of opening your practice.
Yeah. So with, working with other large firms, I've really seen kind of what works and what doesn't. And so what I've seen and what I really enjoy, what we do at our firm is the attorney is involved at every step of the way. The same attorney is involved from intake, is available on the intake call, all the way to trial if need be. And so it's one of those things where I hated handing clients off to another attorney, or you build this rapport, you build this relationship, the case. Why not take it to trial? Why not take it to litigation? So for me, I call it kind of the spoken wheel management style, where I'm always at the center of the file. It might go to an accountant, it might go to another paralegal or something like that. But I just wanted the clients to really know, one, who their attorney is, and that they can always reach out to me or their paralegal and always have someone to talk to. So it's really helped develop not only the cases when moving forward, but also the relationships with the clients. And those have also developed into great referral sources as well.
Tell me about like your CRM selection. Did you choose a legal based CRM? Did you go with something more like Salesforce? Like how are you managing on the sales side?
We have just done it through our case management software that we use the intake process through that. And it's been able for us to really track where cases are coming from, where they should be coming from, the quality of the case based on, we have items that are broken down, quality of case from referral partner. So we understand the Chris Dreyer firm has been sending us, well, they only send us 3 cases. The average fee per case on those are well above, the average. So that is the partner that I, just from a business perspective and a sales perspective, that I would then communicate with more, really put focus in, make sure the best teams are on those cases, and really groom that referral portion.
Yeah, and I guess some firms are maybe sending you maybe an auto or premises or type case. And then the other ones are like, hey, do you want an SSDI case? Not to say that there isn't a place for those, but they got to be really specific handling those. I also saw in an interview, I believe, or when we were researching, you credited attorney share as being a game changing tool for growth. It's funny. I have a text literally from Bob on my phone right now. I think he's on a plane, but we're ready to talk later today. So talk to me about attorney share, how it's impacted your firm and how you're using it.
Yeah. So attorney share has been wonderful. I mean, it's been one of those things that I'm sure most of your listeners know what it is, but it's essentially a marketplace where attorneys can post cases, leads, mostly cases, pre-screened cases, and people will bid of some sort and say, hey, I will accept it and I'll give you 40% of the fee in the back end. And what I've been able to do is, really not only get cases from there, because I mean, it pops up on your phone. So I just get it on my phone. I click bid, accept, and then you don't even get charged until you sign the client. So it's really a no risk from our perspective. But also a lot of the partnerships, I'll say, in California with multiple large California firms have come from attorney share. Because then attorney share has now set up this thing, I think it's called waterfall referrals, I believe is what they're called, where a firm can give you basically first right of refusal of a lead. And there's no charge for that. So it's really free leads and you just continue this relationship. I mean, we are getting direct calls or direct leads from large firms, California, including Sweet James and Averick Law, and lots of good firms out there. And we've really developed those relationships to the point that we are their first right of refusal for Arizona cases.
That's incredible. That's incredible. There's so many individuals that get these out of jurisdiction leads or leads outside of their practice area. And I think there's integrations directly. I sound like I'm selling attorney share. I promise the audience this is me just digging in and because I think it's valuable. I think a lot of our listeners don't have the multi-million-dollar budgets to just go jam on TV and radio. And I think this is a solution, can be one of the tools to help make an impact. Tell me about the team composition, because now in 2 years, you're already $1 million practice. What's the operation look like? Tell me about that composition.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, I am the only attorney still. And so that has been fun. But we have 3 paralegals, 2 of which speak Spanish, which is great for our region. I also have a intake and business development lead that takes almost all, if not all, of our intake calls from the beginning, and then builds the file in our system and then assigns it out to the paralegal. And then paralegals are the one-stop shop. They do it all. I'm very fortunate with my team that they know it from start to finish in terms of pre-litigation. And then we brought on a paralegal to really help me with litigation. So it's just been, like I said, that wheel spoke type management where I'm involved in every level. And what's nice is we don't sign a case unless it touches my desk. And unless it comes through me, I review it at the very least. And so we know every case that's coming through, exactly what we should get on a case like that, particularly like what we talked about before, based on who it's coming from, where it's coming from. And it's been really nice. I mean, the team, I got very lucky. I mean, I have a couple paralegals that have been doing this even longer than I have. So we're in a good spot.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And you're connected. You don't have a million meetings. You can make decisions quickly. You're really informed. You don't have those silos like the large, super large firms have. Talk to me about those early paralegals. Like, how are you sourcing talent? Was it old school Indeed? Was it relationships? Like, tell me about them, because they seem like, really pivotal components of the team.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And it's mostly been relationships. I was fortunate enough to work with one of my paralegals before. I was trying to, for lack of a better phrase, steal her when I had other jobs before and bring her over, even to the point where when I wanted to start my firm, and this goes to the 2 paralegals that I started, I said, look, what do you need to leave your job? Because you're the one taking the risk too. You're leaving a steady paycheck to take a risk on me and Valley Injury Law. What do you need? I'm not going to negotiate. I'm not going to lowball you. What do you need to leave? And the two paralegals said this. And I said, all right, well, see you Monday. And so it's just been one of those things that because they bought in early, they have grown to have ownership of the firm as well, which is what I really love about our firm. It's not about me as much as granted, I'm the only lawyer. I can't do anything else without me, but hopefully as we grow and get more attorneys in the firm and do things like that, it's not about me. It's about the group. It's more about the team. It's not just the Travis Meltzer law firm.
Yeah, that labor-based leverage, allows you to do more, multiplies your efforts. We've talked a little bit about this already, but I kind of want you to, I think it would be a fun thought exercise to have you reverse engineer this path to your first million. Just kind of like what pops into your brain on the critical components to get there, the things that you had to go through. I'll let you riff for a little bit and just talk to the audience.
It was a lot of trial and error. And when you start a firm, you're always concerned where that next case is going to come from. You don't know. And especially, like you said before, I don't have that $1 million budget. I had zero backing. It was a bootstrapped, old school type business setup. And so I just had no clue. So in the beginning, we would just take everything. I would take drops from other firms. I said, hey, if you're thinking of dropping cases, let me review it. Let me take a look. Let me see. And a couple of those cases turned into 6-figure cases. And so when you're looking at cases, I'm very creative and my staff will kill me sometimes. I will take cases that they will not like. They just won't. But some of them work out. We've had plenty of those cases that coverage was an issue, but the injuries were there, but we ended up finding 6 other policies. And this case went from a $50,000 case to $350,000 case. My staff, gave me a hard time in the beginning. They've since obviously, changed the tune a little, but it's really just getting lucky in the sense of you taking a risk on cases that most firms wouldn't. And not only if you're not successful or not as successful as you want to be on that case, that's fine because the client will remember that you're the firm that took it and you're the firm that accepted the case. You're the firm that said, you know what? I got no's from 4 other firms, but Travis took my case. I might not have got the result I wanted, but he tried. I try really hard.
As the owner of a digital marketing agency, I see personal injury firms making strategic decisions without the right data every day. Look, I've worked with firms of every size and analyzed what really works. Our team at Rankings will map out your entire competitive landscape, identify where cases are falling through the cracks, and show you exactly what moves will drive growth. Want to understand where your market opportunities really are without spending a dime? Visit rankings.io/consultation today.
Look at each case as a person. It sounds weird to say, but really look at each case as a person because one, it is, but also it allows for me and my staff to really never lose sight that is a person. It's not just hey, this is one of my 180 cases. I need to put a demand out. I need to move it across the desk. But no, this is Chris. This is Travis. This is Peter. And they are always people. And and it's worked in the sense because we've tried to make it more of a interpersonal relationship as opposed to I don't want to say procedural relationship, but a transactional one.
Yeah. So, I think it's interesting. I want to dig into this a little bit about those cases that are turned down. I say this a lot from an SEO perspective. Like, look, if you're on the first page of Google, but you're at the bottom, it's the equivalent of being, on the second or third because, and the cases that you do receive are probably going to be turned down from the other attorneys. But you looked at it as the person you thought, if I was in the shoe, I'm going to take it to the courtroom. How do you balance the risk though? Right. On some of those cases, like this case is going to need all these expert witnesses and all these additional costs. Like, do you have an example? I would love to hear of maybe one that you took and ended up playing out nicely.
Yeah. So, to answer the first question, how do I balance the risk? It's one of those things where it's that's really where I feel like I learned the hard way on a couple cases from a business perspective. Because you're right. You spend so much time, even if it's not expert costs, it's time on desk. And that's something that people don't think about really. If I'm sitting there and the case at best is a $10,000, $5,000 case, but I'm spending hours upon hours upon hours, how much did it cost me to work that case? And so, I try to look at a case where it's complexity really, if it's a ultra complex case where it's a trucking case and my person went through a stop sign, the truck went through a stop sign, and I need experts to do this and that. It's one of those things where you look at the damages, right? And if it's worth it, if it's really worth it to put that kind of money into it. So we've gotten more selective when we roll the dice, because we have that fortune now that we have the ability to be a little bit more selective. But I'll tell you, I mean, my staff gets on me all the time, but I still take cases because I like the people. I mean, I'm a sucker in the sense of like, I will try for this person. I am, it's just something ingrained in me that I will try for this person. Yeah. And to the point where I've gotten myself into a case where it's like, well, we're going to lose for sure. There's no way out of this at this point. So I just got to break the news to the client. But then, like you said, on the other end, I kind of touched on it before where this case, poor guy got hit on a motorcycle on the highway before they signed with us, the third party and first party tender. So it was $50,000, but he has like $1 million in bills. So I said, look, you're only going to pay us to help get your bills down, but I'm more than happy to help. We can adjust my fee if we need to. Then we start looking at policies, and we're able to stack policies. And that's where the ability of the staff really helped a lot too, because they were able to locate this, and that. And that $50,000 case turned into that $350,000 case where the client took home well over 6 figures.
That's incredible. You're also in a market, Arizona, it's experiencing a ton of competition. It also, and I don't know if this is, there's a lot more people moving there. I mean, our event, we selected Scottsdale. I mean, I think it's just the whole state is blowing up. There's more capital, and people are moving there. How do you think about the competition? Just because there's so many firms pumping major dollars into the market there.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And even so, I mean, I even take some cases and practice in Nevada as well. So it's not, I go to the busiest. Yeah. So for me, at least initially, while I do not that say never, but I don't plan on being that $1 million budget a month, a minute advertising firm, because I think the audiences or customers or potential clients, it's all they see every day. It's just another person's face slapped onto a call for personal injury. There's a lot of them, and don't get me wrong, it works. I get it. But for us, and why I did what I did with the name of the firm, the logos, things like that, I wanted it to feel local. Now, no matter how big it got or how big we got, I wanted it to feel like that corner shop. But it's a law firm. You can come talk to, we're your friends. We're from here. This is where we live. We don't do outsourced paralegals. I don't do outsourced assistants. These are the people. These are your neighbors. So the way that we've really differentiated ourselves is we've stayed true to who we are and just plainly been me. Now, if you like me, great. Hopefully people do. As you don't, I mean, it is what it is. But ultimately, I am me. And I've really preached to my staff to like, be you. I mean, that's why I hired them. That's why they're part of this firm. It's just be them. And because you've seen those larger firms, especially the ones that kind of come in, there's heavy turnover. There just is. And there's always, you never know where the case is going to be. My goal was to have a firm like Mike Morse is a perfect example too, the Morse law firm that with employees that just stay. And so that consistency, not only from a business perspective, but from a client's perspective, because they can then say, hey, look, I worked with Travis at Valley Injury Law before 8 years ago. I'd love to send you my friend now. And sure, he's still there. And sure enough, he's there. And Mike Morse does a great job in retaining talent. So it's one of those real things that I really want to focus on here.
Yeah, like, the Valley Injury, the local feel, the I think everything that you're doing, the focus on the client service, taking cases when other people will. I mean, that's like an advertising line. Like, I don't know where you put that or on the site. I think some of these stories are incredible. I mean, there are plenty that you can't, participate in, and I'm probably opening a can of worms with your staff, but at the same point, at the same time, I got to imagine just the feeling of taking that case that didn't look good and having a great outcome. It's just got to feel amazing, and the whole team just probably loved that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those phone calls, I make a lot of bad phone calls. I have, you don't share a lot of, But when you get that news, when you're able to share that news with a client that's just been sitting and, you message or email and say, hey, look, we're waiting, we're looking. And then all of a sudden you get the call and say, hey, guess what? We finally got it. And here's what it is. It's something that really, even the money aside, just the grateful, just how thankful people can be. It really, I don't know. I wouldn't say it gives me a purpose, but it definitely makes that the goal that I had in mind in coming to this side of things, that it's working and that there's something out there that's working.
If you found value in Travis's approach to firm building, make sure you're subscribed to Personal Injury Mastermind wherever you listen to podcasts. Each week, we bring you tactical conversations with attorneys and experts who are growing successful practices using innovative strategies. Until next time, I'm Chris Dreyer, and this is Personal Injury Mastermind.